Assembly. We garnered over 1-point-something million votes in the last elections, and the party was only 3 months old. So you can imagine what we'd have done if it was an established party like the others. And so we are requesting that we also be included in further discussions, any meetings to discuss the document and everything. Maendeleo Chap is a party that is nationwide. We'd like also to be included in the discussions, and also to be included in any public fora. We were left out in Bomas, and I got a lot of heat from my members saying, Mutua, you are a party that has members in parliament, and you are not even given a chance to even lift a hand to say hi to people and present our views during the public fora that was in Bomas. But we understand the constraints of time, but we also understand at times it's if you don't speak out, you can easily be left out. This presentation is in 7 sections. We have collapsed many of the sections that you have under BBI so that we can go speedily, because some of them are similar. Our main theme, even before I start, is on economic. I said this the other day, the only reason we are sitting here today, the only reason we are discussing the Building Bridges initiative is because Kenya is a poor country, and we are poor. And there's a big discrepancy between the rich and the poor. If we were a wealthy country like England or France or Italy or some of the Western nations like Canada, you don't hear of them holding Building Bridges initiatives. But here, we have to do this because we've had a problem in terms of our economy. When I've attended BBI rallies across the country, all the speakers are talking about development. They are saying, tunataka hii BBI iongeze hapa akina mama wapate biashara. Tunataka vijana wapate kazi. Tunataka, so it's all economic. So the presentation and the theme for us as Maendeleo Chap, because our party is called Maendeleo, is economics. Let us create wealth as a country, because that is what our people want. You can be united and happy even in your own bedroom. Things will be tough if you're hungry because you did not eat. So we need to feed the nation with money in the pocket, and then we proceed. I want to say that as Maendeleo Chap, we agree with the proposals that you presented, and we support the underlying objectives and philosophy of the BBI. And now we want to make the several proposals. Number one, it is important for us to think big and think long-term, so that we build on what has been established. Mheshimiwa Senator Wako said we worked together during the term of Mwai Kibaki, and we came up with Vision 2030. The question is, what happened to Vision 2030? So we have to start thinking as a country that when we set up something, that we are setting up a blueprint for our development, and we are looking at economic centers, so that therefore we propose that we take a break from the past where society has been dominated by political talk and emphasize more on socio-economic development. I know we've all been watching the presidential democratic elections in the US, and you know, people, when they stand there, they're not talking about tribe. They're not talking about ethnic per se. Most of them are talking, what will you do about healthcare? What are you going to do about infrastructure? What are you going to do about employment? What are you going about increasing the amount of money in people's homes? So we need to get our country to think economics. Otherwise, we'll always be dominated by foreigners forever. Therefore, for us to achieve that, we are proposing that we come up with a national development and socio-economic framework, so that we have a framework where we are socialized at all levels and the general public to think economics. Also, to ensure that governments at all levels are obligated to follow the agreed upon development and socio-economic vision, we propose that Article 10 be amended by adding compliance with the National Development and Socio-Economic Framework as part of our national values and principles of government. We don't want, we had Vision 2030. Now we have the big four. A new leader comes in after 2022, comes up with the jumping 10. So, you know, we need to be focused, so that is it Vision 2030 that we are still carrying out with these other sub-branches, so that we are focused, so that we don't get our programs starting and stopping and then costing us a lot of money. To me, Vision 2030 has basically stalled. If you look at what is happening in Lamu, you look at Konza and others, They are pipe dreams now. Where I remember we went to break ground with President Kibaki, and I went back a few years later and I was ashamed. Grass had grown where we had broken ground. So we need to be focused. We start a program, it is carried through clearly. So in doing so, we must provide for heads of government to win elections. We ask them to harmonize their party manifesto with the national development and socio-economic framework without too much deviation from the main focus. You'll even find people will be campaigning with that economic, socio-economic framework in mind. And it is important for us, and this is a very important point, we need to cut down on red tape bureaucracy. And I'll talk about that several times. Our country is very bureaucratic. We inherited this from the British. It is quite a shame. Our country is so democratic, it's so bureaucratic that, for example, I was talking to some diplomats who said it takes a minimum of 18 months for foreign direct investor to establish themselves in Kenya. You come with your money, you want to put up a factory to employ youth, you want to put up a market, you want to do 18 months. By the time you do the land titles, you do the approvals, everything 18 months. Whereas you go to countries like Rwanda, within 2 weeks, within the third week, you've already started hiring people to put up a factory. So we are losing out. And tunataka hii spirit ya kufanya kazi ikuwe maendeleo chap. You look at even government processes, for example. From the time somebody wins a tender to the time somebody is actually paid, it is 34 steps. 34 steps. All those going through different people. And if one of them anataka pewe kitu kidogo, file inapotea. So we've added so many procedures in procurement, in payments, in doing things in this country, and they're all man-made. They're all woman and man-made. They're all human-made. And as a result, we've enhanced corruption, and we've slowed down development. And that is why we've got very high levels of unemployment. Divisive elections and inclusivity. Last time we advocated, and I want to repeat what we advocated, for the positions of a president, prime minister, 2 deputy prime ministers, deputy president, and we would request that when they are elected, they be elected as a team, so that people know this is the president, this is the deputy president, regardless of the parties they come from, it's of a coalition, they're elected as a team. Because people will want to know, are we included? It's part of inclusiveness. These kufanya agreements later on, huyu ndio atakuwa prime minister, amepata hii, becomes a problem. Because it's all about serving people. It's all about serving people. And then to stop this problem of viongozi wamechaguliwa lakini hawana kazi. We find deputy governors, for example, most of them don't have work. In Machakos, mine is the Minister for Finance. We find that deputy presidents at times or vice presidents are not given portfolios, so they are busy transversing the country, trying kuelewa watu na kutangatanga na watu. It becomes a problem. We want them to be given specific portfolios so that they are kept busy and that the taxpayers' money that is paying them is realized. So they should be given specific portfolios and mandates. And also decisions should be made. If it's a team of 5 at the top, let them consult each other so that mtu asemi sikuwa nimeambiwa huyu akifutwa kazi, mfutane kazi pamoja, muandikane pamoja, enhance development pamoja. We also propose that to ensure harmony in the running of a government, persons aspiring to those positions be on a joint ticket, as I've said, but also that each community, that means each county, should get a share of ministerial, principal secretary, ambassadorial, state corporation, and other senior political appointments consummated to its population, ethnic, and regional equity. We want Kenya to feel that we are not a country of one person wins and puts their tribe or their counties alone. We want Kenyans to feel they're included in government regardless of who wins. We support the appointment of cabinet ministers and state ministers, as well as executives of devolved governments from serving members of parliament and county assembly. Besides creation of the office of the leader of official opposition with proper resources and pecking order, we also propose that persons running for executive positions should also be allowed to run for legislative positions. This will accord them a platform to address their policy issues where one loses the ultimate position and reduce appetite for street demonstrations, which in our current scenarios are the only political option for election losers. I believe we saw Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga akaenda akajiapisha Uhuru Park, akajiapisha kama people's president. Tukaona President Uhuru akaapishwa. Tukaona wengine. You know, this feeling of winner takes it all needs to go away. In the olden days, we had the late President Moi was running for president, and at the same time, he ran for the seat of Baringo ya Kati, which is today is occupied by Mheshimiwa Kandie here of Maendeleo Chapchap. You know, he inherited Moi's seat. All those years, pengine kwa sababu alikuwa anasema na hiyo ni maendeleo. Watu wakaona maendeleo chap na alafu no. So we're following that spirit. And the same way Kibaki, during the elections, we used to see him in Othaya casting a vote for himself as the MP as well as a president. That way you lose one, you still have an arena where you can agitate in the chambers as a senator or as a member of National Assembly. So we are requesting that you run for any of those 5 positions. You can run also as a senator, if there's a position of a senator, which we are recommending to be done away with, or a member of National Assembly, and even county assembly. On political parties, to make them true engines of democratic engagement, we propose to do away with the current system of political funding, which is discriminative and suffocates democracy. Political parties